Today I want to share some of my favorite middle grade books for Christmas, and I think these make really great family read-alouds. Hi, I'm Mary Wilson, a homeschooling mom of 4 kids. 3 have graduated, 1 is still in high school, and I also teach online book clubs for kids ages 8 to 15. Over the years, we have done a different Christmas book club every year in December, and I want to share some of the favorites that we have done over the years. So these are all books that I have either taught to kids online or read with my own kids at home. And I wanted to share them in case they might work for your family. If you're interested to learn more about my book clubs, and there are still openings in the 2025 Holiday Book Club, you can check out the links below. But to start with today, we are going to start with a classic that most of you probably know, but I'm going to share some different ways that you could dive into this classic. And yes, you heard correctly, I am talking about A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This is the classic tale of Scrooge, who is quite the Scrooge. Until he is visited by 3 ghosts, the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future, and these ghosts show him things, reveal things to him, and then Scrooge ends up going through quite the transformation. There is a reason that this is a classic Christmas tale. It is a timeless theme that all ages can enjoy, and I have to confess, I actually never read this one until I had my own children and we were reading it together one year. We dove in and had a great time. I will actually link my Celebrate a Book party guide for this book below. You can grab that with discussion questions and some of the fun ideas, crafts, and games that we played. But what I want to share today are some other ways to read this one. There is a graphic novel version. I think there's more than one. This is by the company Classical Graphics. They do a few different ones, and I really enjoy this one. Definitely check it out. The graphics can be a little scary because some of the ghosts that visit Scrooge are a little frightening. On page 94, here's one of the images that I think is a little bit frightening, possibly disturbing. So please make sure you preview this for your own kids. This is when ignorance and want come out from beneath the spirit. And then here is the third one. So definitely with graphic novels, you always want to check those visuals, but this is a great option for your middle grade readers, your teens, kids who are a little less sensitive perhaps to the graphics like that. Absolutely loved this one. Another one that is actually on my list of Christmas books for teens. I don't have it. I just returned to the library. The Afterlife of Holly Chase. Definitely check this one out if you have a teen. It does have romance. There's a little bit of a kissing session in the back of a movie theater. I will link directly to my review of this one below and my entire list of Christmas books for teens, but I mention it with A Christmas Carol because I don't want to give away the twists in it, but it is based on, in the afterlife, joining a team of people who pick a Scrooge each year in our world. And they actually send 3 ghosts to visit that person and hopefully rescue them. So it's kind of like a team of people who rescue someone from their Scrooge life. I thought it had a really fun twist, but it does have some romance in there, so definitely read my complete review there for your teen. And finally, another one, and again, this is for the teens, but when my teens hit about 13, we really got into this series, the OMG series. There's OMG Shakespeare, which is where we started, but this is OMG Dickens. And these are hysterical. I don't know what else to say. They are not necessarily appropriate. You need a sense of humor. But if you have teens, these are the story of A Christmas Carol told all through texting, group chats, messages, emojis. They're really funny. But they do use acronyms that involve curse words and certain emojis that represent those curse words. So all right, I started off with a few that aren't quite so family friendly, but were definitely fun in this house because when we read A Christmas Carol as a family for my teens, I pulled in some of these other titles for them to experience the story in lots of different ways. And of course, we watch tons of classic movies, which I highly recommend. All right, let's move on to some other books that maybe will be new to you. All right, I know we said we were getting away from A Christmas Carol, but I do have to mention The Night I Met Father Christmas because it is so related to A Christmas Carol, but it is also very unique. This is about a little boy named Jackson who meets Father Christmas as he is delivering presents. And Father Christmas takes him on a journey and shares with that Jack the story of how he became Father Christmas as we know him today. And I don't want to give a lot away, but I will say it is very, very related to A Christmas Carol. He may have been a little Scroogey himself, and there may have been some visitors who changed his mind and helped him to be a more generous person in the world. This is a great family read aloud. It's a good one to do if you have done A Christmas Carol in the past or you have seen a movie, because the kids will immediately connect it to that tale of Scrooge. All right, our next book, A Boy Called Christmas, is actually part of a series. Next, I'm going to talk about The Girl Who Saved Christmas, and there is a third book in this series that I have not read, A Mouse Called Mika. I'm sure it is just as delightful. This is another Father Christmas origin story, and we start with a young boy, Nicholas, who is living in poverty, and he has headed to the north to find his missing father. His adventures are going to shape him into the Saint Nicholas, the Santa Claus that we know and love today. This author does such a great job of world building that it feels very believable. And so it's really fun to continue the series. There are elements of fantasy and magic and mythology. Absolutely fantastic series to start. And I believe that, oh, yes, this one also now has a movie. Amelia Wishart is the first child to believe in magic. And due to hardship, her belief begins to fade. And of course, this causes problems. So Father Christmas sets out to find Amelia and to make things right. This is an adventure book filled with flying reindeer, prisons, escapes, and it's full of optimism and humor. It's a wonderful balance of emotional depth and fantasy and fun. This would be a great one to read after you read A Boy Called Christmas. Next, we have Juniper's Christmas. This is actually the Christmas book title that I selected last year for my Christmas book club online, and it was such a fun read for the holidays. Juniper Lane is actually grieving the loss of her mother, and her living situation is not great, and she meets a grumpy old man named Nicholas in the park who claims that he used to be Santa Claus. So as she digs into the truth of his story and his past, she finds out maybe he's not lying, and she is determined to get him back to where he belongs. I thought this was such a great story of kindness, of a community coming together, and of courage, and the ending is uplifting, everything you want in a Christmas tale. This is a great read aloud for the whole family. The Christmasaurus is such a lighthearted and fun adventure story. I almost picked it for my book clubs this year, and I have a feeling this will be the Christmas title for next year. William Trundle wants a dinosaur for Christmas, and through a series of magical events, including elves and a time-traveling fossil, he actually is going to meet a dinosaur, the Christmasaurus, and his adventure is going to involve bullies and Santa's workshop and all sorts of magical events and surprising twists, but it is a book full of humor and ultimately about belonging and friendship. And if you want your tearjerker, the best Christmas pageant ever. Again, one that I had not read until I was an adult. I read it with my own kids. I cried. It is so short. It is such a quick read. This is definitely more of an early elementary book, but I read it to my kids even when my oldest was around, I would say 12 or 13. We all listened to it together. It has now been turned into a movie. I have not seen the movie, but it is about a family of unruly kids who kind of take over the town Christmas pageant. Some people don't want them there. And through a series of events, these unruly children end up teaching the whole town what the true meaning of Christmas is. absolutely love this book. I almost forgot to mention the Christmas book that I actually picked for our Christmas book club this year, which again, you can find links to below. There are a few openings left in this one and in A Christmas Carol. This is Let It Glow by Marissa Myers and Joanne Levy. And it is written in alternating perspectives of twin girls, Aviva and Holly. And kind of like The Parent Trap, these girls were separated at birth. We never find out completely the backstory, but they didn't know about each other. And they run into each other at a retirement center where one of their grandfathers or one of their grandmothers is living and a grandfather is visiting of the other girl. And of course, in classic Parent Trap style, though they're not trying to get parents together, they switch places to get to know each other's families and to experience each other's holiday traditions. One is growing up in a Jewish family and celebrates Hanukkah, and the other one is growing up in a family that celebrates Christmas. So it was just a fun way to include other holiday celebrations, and for kids to kind of be able to discuss different ways people are spending the December holidays. It was fun. It's intergenerational. It's family. It has a happy ending. It's a little corny and unbelievable, but I think it's a great read aloud, and middle grade readers will love this one. All right, this was by no means a list of every single Christmas book that exists, but some of the ones that have meant a lot to my family or have stood out to me in my own book clubs online the last few years. So I have linked below my teen book list, which I mentioned earlier, and there is a list there for middle grade readers that includes a lot more Christmas chapter books if you want to check it out. All right, and if you love books, especially books for kids and teens, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow along. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, everyone.